Welcome to the second day of back Mahindra Global Chess League. We again have 3 matches, and let's start by taking a look at Alpine SG Pipers versus Ganges Grandmasters. And Fabiano Caruana is playing with white pieces against Viswanathan and Anand, and starts with a 4-2 legends. You know, when I was only beginning to play chess back in 2013, you kind of heard a lot about Vichy and Fabi, who at that time represented Italy, and now you see them like 12 years later still in the game, still on the top level, and it just, warms my heart. e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, Ray Lopez on the board. Bishop plays solid chess, knight f4, and that's open Spanish line. d5, bishop b3, d5, d takes e5, bishop e6, pawn goes to c3, that's all standard theory, bishop c2, bishop g4, queen goes to e1, not even being scared of bishop f3 and then g takes f3. Because generally, king will be kind of safe, king goes to h1, this bishop will no longer be on the board, so light squares won't be attacked, so it's more or less fine. So knight goes to c5, knight d2, knight goes to e6, and now queen jumps to e2, castle, rook e1, in d7. The game was pretty solid, just very soon, especially when you get to lower time. The mistakes might happen, but on this level where 2 top gems are participating, there will be very little chance of mistake, but it still might happen, as we'll see. So bishop goes to h5, knight to f1, common idea in this Ray Lopez positions, knight jumps to f1, then goes to g3, attacks the bishop, and then potentially we want to also occupy f5 square. So bishop to g6, bishop to e3. So now the idea for black is potentially to play c5, maybe rook d8, and push this pawn in the middle of the board. Rook d1, c5, knight g3, rook d8, knight f5, rook d8, g4. So now it gets complicated, and at the same time it gets interesting. So g4 is played. Black have an absolutely insane center, which potentially might be pushed, but of course not right now, because then takes, and white have more captures on d4. Knight goes to c6, and bishop e4 was a mistake, because now Vichy could play a move which is knight e d4. It is a bit complicated to find when you look at it, because you gotta put your knight under a lot of attacks. So pawn attacks, bishop attacks, knight attacks, rook attacks, and you're like, what is going on? The idea is to take bishop, of course. So let's say if c takes e4 was to be played, d takes e4, and now this is under attack, and now d takes e5 no longer works due to e takes e3, and black pick up a lot of material. Now the best way to continue playing this position is to play d5, but now there is bishop f5, and guess what? If d takes e6, you can play queen c6, and once again, if g takes f5, e takes f3, and the position is completely winning for black once again. So it becomes very complicated, and after bishop e4, of course, knight e d4 kind of tough to find, but bishop plays knight c7, which computer thinks is a mistake, because after bishop f4, now this pawn is under control, there is still pin on d file, and bishop goes bishop 8, bishop goes back to c2, knight to6, bishop g3. So using this bishop f4 idea, Fabi kind of managed to reroute his bishop to g3 square, where it wouldn't be attacked with d4 push. So I think that was actually pretty smart, and also potentially help his pawn move this way, and also bishop h4 to get this rook out of the way and maybe get some trades, because bishop h4, let's say knight e7, and then there are even more pins like knight d6 ideas. So d4 was played, bishop e4, queen c8, queen c2, takes. And now, once again, yes, potentially better pawn structure for black on the queen side, but again, there's not too many things that, white threat and black threat, and so the position is around equal, and as you might see by looking at the evil bar, it is equal. c4, pawn goes to h4, trying to attack h5, and h5 was played by black, g takes h5, bishop h5, knight d6. Actually, I really like this position kind of for black in a way, because, okay, now it's only one move, but you played h5, bishop h5, and, you kind of see this ruins around white skin, and you're like, okay, it shouldn't be worse, but the problem is there are tactical solutions to the game. So knight d6 was played, queen c7, and now the position becomes winning for white, because they have a simple simple combination. Bishop h7, king h8, queen f5, and guess what happens? Bishop f3, which looks like the only way to protect the bishop, or let's say g6, which was played, but we'll get to it. So bishop f3, there's knight f7, and king has no moves, so queen has to take queen f7, and now two pieces are under attack, white wins the game. So g6 was played instead. I mean, looks very logical, but now knight f7, king h7, and queen f6 wins the game. So if, let's say, king g7, queen f6 can be played, and then queen e6 back. So king h7, queen e6, rook d3, knight g5, and Vichy admitted his loss, because here checkmate is about to be followed. Knight h6 check, king g7, queen f6, king h6, queen h8, queen h7, queen h7, check. Mate. And Fabi won. But his team actually ended up losing this match, as you might see. And that's the second straight loss for Alpine SG Pipers. Now we move on to actually the same match. The same match where Ragnanka was playing against Vachier Sindarov, who recently made it to the candidates. And I mean, they will be facing each other in the candidates tournament in April in Cyprus. So e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6. We see a lot of e4, e5 in this tournament. d3, bishop e7, castle, castle, knight bd2, d6. There is not a lot of stuff going on until certain point, so we'll try to quickly scroll through it. Knight e7, knight g6, common idea would jump into f4, c6, and also pushing d5 for a5. That's again a very common idea. d4, e takes d4, queen d4, bishop goes to g4, attacking the knight, knight goes back. Now bishop e6, offering a bishop trade, pawn goes to c4, a takes b4, a takes b4, rook a1, and now b5. So that's actually quite common idea. So let's say the pawn was somewhere on e3, or let's say it's on e5 and there's a pawn on c4, b5 usually is a good break to just kinda have some more space for t5 square, and b5 in this case, I mean, potentially cement and c4 square for black. So b5, c takes b5, bishop b3 takes, c takes b5, and now it's a lot easier to push d5 at some point. And if black managed to push d5 without consequences, it's probably gonna be just equal. King d3, d5, rook d1, knight f4, king d2, g5. I honestly don't like this knight f4 and g5 maneuver, because, I mean, you kind of weaken yourself a little bit, so I honestly wouldn't play it. I mean, computer says h5, computer says knight e5, but knight f4 is fine as well, but I just don't like g5. I mean, computer offers knight g6 as an alternative, because let's say here, I believe even if e takes d5 is played, I mean, you can probably take, and then king d5, rook e1 wins the game, so still possible. And then bishop b4 ideas, and should be kind of fine. Knight g f4 potentially to protect the knight if you're really scared of it. So g5 was played, f3, king goes to b6 with check, king d4 takes, and now d takes f4, knight b5, rook e6, and black are in a safe spot. Bishop f6, e takes f3, sacrificing a piece, bishop e5, knight g6, attacking bishop, attacking knight potentially. So rook goes to c2, bishop d6. Bishop d6 is a mistake. What Prague should have done is to play bishop d4, and apparently it is still equal for both sides, but instead bishop d6 was played, takes, rook c7, and now the position is a draw. But look at the time, 22 seconds versus 30 seconds, and it becomes complicated. Pass pawn on b6, knight f5, take the pawn, king g7, and Prague is up a pawn, knight g6, rook f7, king h6. So here the knight is basically kind of trapped. So, I mean, simply because after king g7, you had to play rook f5 and then you still hold, but after rook f5, this and knight g6, guess what happens? Not only this knight is under attack, but also if it moves anywhere, knight h4 will be followed, and it becomes complicated. But rook f7, king h6, and the position is still under control of white. b7, rook b2, king g1, and that was the final mistake, knight h4. And now it turns out that the attack is strong. h3, king g6, rook c7, knight f3 takes, king f5, king f4, king f4, king g3, threatening checkmate. And now after rook c2, basically rook c2, b8 comes with check, so rook takes b7, and Prague admitted his loss. What a wild game, what a wild, ending this game had. And due to the help of Vachier, Ganja's Grandmasters, I'm actually not quite sure. Yeah, he is on the same team with Vachier, yes. But I was like, Prague might be playing with Anand, then it's kind of like, what is going on in this event? So then we move on to the second match of the day, which was played between Upgrade Mamba Masters and Fyers American Gambits. And Hikaru Nakamura was playing with black pieces against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and once again E4, E5, what is going on? But we'll see one other opening in this recap. Knight of 3, Knight of 6, and we have Petrov, interesting Petrov, d takes e5, f5, Knight c6. Usually, let's say, of course, it's a common beginner mistake. Let's say Knight e4, Queen e2, and of course, many people just move their knight back, and Knight c6, blunder knight. So, but Queen e7 is played, d6, d takes e5, f5, Knight c6, attacking the pawn, took it back, Knight g4, and they transpose to an endgame where, I mean, it's kind of equal in a way, but I think white have more chances just because the pieces are slightly more active. b5, bishop b3, a5, a3, bishop a6. Bishop a6, computer says it's a mistake, but I wouldn't say so. I mean, the diagonal is just extremely weak. That's the only thing I don't like about black's position. Bishop b5, pawn goes to b4, takes, now knight goes to e2, and knight goes to g3. So now the position becomes worse. Because basically this bishop e5 plan just doesn't really work. I'm not sure what was the idea. Castle and d5 push was actually the best according to computer, just because you can't really castle due to bishop e6, and black can probably resign because the pawn will be fallen. Bishop e5, b4 takes, knight e2, king d7, knight g3, g6, king f2, rook f8, rook e1, knight e5, knight e2, f4, and suddenly Hikaru started pushing. Bishop h4 ideas, different, discover attacks. I mean, bishop b5 is fine as well, just maybe even trade rooks and go back, because this pawn is kind of protected. King f3, g5, knight c1, and Hikaru took up more space. Knight f3, knight c5, takes, and even though Maxime has two bishops, he is not better here. Takes, and now king f2. You might ask me why not king f4, because knight g2, and resignation will be followed. King f2, pawn goes to g3, and now king g1. And now it already becomes kind of scary, because rook h8, let's say, just hypothetically, rook h8, rook h5, rook h8, rook h1, checkmate. So, what is happening in this game? Bishop b5. The best move here is bishop f7, and apparently the best way to play is to play rook a1 and sacrifice an exchange, which is kind of wild. Let me understand why it is like that. So let's say I go rook e c8, then rook d1. Oh my god, look at this. Let's say if takes, oh, not takes, rook e7. Oh my, it's easy to miss actually. Bishop f7 creating checkmate net, and if rook b8, I believe the same thing happens. Rook d1, let's say knight d1, rook d1, king c7, and so rook goes to e7 first. Now if king, but it's so bad. Like, yeah, that's easy to miss, but at the same time, like, it's not that hard. So bishop g5, rook a1, rook goes to e4, rook a1, rook d4, c3. And now took one of the pawns, rook h2 check, rook g2 check, takes the pawn and sacrifices his piece, but after rook b3, he takes it back, rook b2, he's about to create more pressure, king goes, sacrifice an exchange, but unfortunately after rook king g4, rook b2 is coming, this pawn will be eventually promoted, and black won the game. And guess what? The match still ended up with Maxime Vachier-Lagrave's team winning the match. Shahryar beat Richie Rapport, and then we had Bardia Danishvar beating Valadar Murzin. And we get the final match where the world chess champion was present, Gukesh Dommaraju versus Alireza Firouzja, Gukesh with white pieces. Let's see what happens. c4, g6, bishop g7. Alireza is quite known for playing this, let's say, strategically sharp positions. Knight f3, a6, castle, rook b8. The idea is, of course, to play b5. This reminds you of different Sicilian positions, bishop b3, b4, knight a4. And I think around this point there was some moment of real blunder. So knight goes to f6. What a blunder by Alireza Firouzja. And I mean, it is a bit insane to see player of such level blunder in this case. So bishop d4 and the position is equal, but knight f6 is a blunder. But why? Because this bishop is kept on the board, and after bishop a7, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, he's the world champion. Maybe he didn't like that, you know, he can take the exchange. Maybe I'm not sure what you can dislike about this switch. Maybe he was like, okay, takes, and the bishop on this diagonal is very, very annoying. I mean, f3, then e4, bishop comes back to d4, you play b3, and then, like, why do you even care? I mean, there are not a lot of things that, I don't know, he's the world champion, I'm not, so let's pretend like he calculated and he didn't like it. Castle, rook c1, queen a5, queen d2, bishop d7, attacking the knight, but he keeps the bishop on the board, queen h5 attacking this pawn, g4. Many people would like to sacrifice it like Viti would do, but here after bishop g4, bishop f6 first, and apparently it's an equal position. Because yeah, h takes g4, knight g4 actually works, it then takes, and queen h2 checkmate, but here bishop e2, bishop g7, bishop f1, king f1, king g7, and 2 pieces for the rook. So queen h4, rook goes to c7, bishop e6, rook d1, rook c8, takes, and now queen goes back to d2. And h5, Alireza tries to create some mess on the king side. f3, h takes g4 takes, and now bishop h6, and suddenly all the pieces are activated. Queen goes to b4, bishop f4. Now Gukesh needs to be careful here. Queen h2, knight d5, and guess what? This is a huge threat right now. Queen goes to f2, rook c2, and the position is too active despite this 2 pawns. Queen g1, bishop g1, rook a2. So the best way to play here was to play bishop g3. After queen g1, queen h6. Apparently the position is just super tough to play for white. But rook c2, okay, takes, because in the end game, okay, I mean, you still probably have some advantage. Takes, 2 bishops on the board, rook c2, knight d1 is restricted, severely restricted. Rook a2 attacking the rook goes back, bishop e3, b2, bishop c2, and finally Gukesh resigned with 4 seconds left on the clock. So, I mean, yeah, Alireza beat 2 strong players in the first round. He beat Fabi, now he beats Gukesh, and he is absolutely on fire. While Gukesh made the draw against Hikaru in the first game, and now loses to Alireza with white pieces. Gukesh's team ends up losing. And I think Hikaru's team ended up winning yesterday against Alaskan Knights, and Alaskan Knights are losing second match in a row. So, Gukesh, you gotta wake up. You gotta lead your team towards the win, because right now, I mean, it's just a crush and loss. 3 points versus 15. And by the way, I mean, they were playing with white pieces as well, and to lose 3-15 and with white pieces, I couldn't have a black piece, but lose like that is insane. Alpine lost to Ganges, Grandmaster Sindarov won. I mean, Anand lost, but that didn't help Alpine SG Pipers, and the Grandmasters, led by Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, ended up beating Hikaru Nakamura's American Gambits. So 2 days ended. Let me know if you watch the event live. I mean, I know for some Europeans it's easier to watch than for American people, because for us it starts like at 6 a.m. But I mean, I still try to watch the event because it's very exciting. So hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the recap of day number 3 tomorrow. See you soon. Bye bye.